Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we're going through the House of Commons session here, and Pierre drops an absolute bomb. Wednesdays are usually really good because Justin Trudeau is supposed to show up for work on Wednesdays, and he is here today, and you're gonna love this. Right out of the gate here, it's just so good. Let's get into this.
Leader of the opposition.
The Prime Minister's Arrive scam is now flailing out of control. Today, revelations from a Joël Denis Bellevance that one ArriveCan company received $250 million in contracts. Let's get this straight. It's a company with 4 employees, headquartered in the basement of a tiny cottage. They got IT contracts even though they admit they do no IT work. $250 million. WTF.
They gotta talk about it. They're like, wait, is he allowed to say that or what? Fergus gonna come back and say it's not parliamentary.
We are dangerously close to crossing the line in terms of what is considered parliamentary language.
There it is.
That is an abbreviation which is commonly used with language, which is commonly understood not to be parliamentary.
Oh, really?
I'm going to ask the honourable opposition leader, please, to withdraw that comment and to use parliamentary language, please.
Oh, really?
Where's the funds?
Oh, that was well played. That was well played.
Appreciate that the leader of the opposition had clarified that comment. I'm going to ask all
clarified the comment
to not use the acronym, because the acronym in the minds of Canadians clearly would be considered unparliamentary language, and to use the full words. The right
This is
honourable Prime
hilarious.
Minister.
Okay, before he replies, I just want to throw in here about parliamentary language. The Justice Minister, this is what he said in the House of Commons just last week from the Attorney General of Canada, the Justice Minister of Canada, this guy here, Virani, dropping an F-bomb after Pierre Poilievre's rebuttal.
He's got to read his own law before trumpeting it in the Parliament.
Auto theft that occurs with organized crime, that's already on the books too. 718.2 of the Criminal Code, Mr. Leader of the Opposition. Why don't we focus on things we can actually do, like getting tough with organized crime and anti-money laundering?
The honourable.
You hear it? All right, we'll jump back to Trudeau now and his response to the WTF.
Mr. Speaker, during the time of pandemic, the government rightly did everything it could to keep Canadians safe and keep them protected. But of course, even in the most trying times, perhaps especially in the most trying times, all the rules need to be followed. In this case, the Auditor General has highlighted some very concerning questions that need to be answered, and that's why we're expecting and supporting all relevant authorities to follow up on these irregular contracting and this perhaps breaking of the rules. This is an important issue, and that's why we're taking it seriously, Mr. Speaker.
The Free Palestine people have broken in. What the heck? Wow. That's crazy. There's a lot of videos of them chanting, protesting all over the place. It's just never see it in the House of Commons. They got it halfway, 3/4 muted, but it's still pretty loud. You can pick it up.
Colleagues.
Oh, something's happening. Oh, they're getting back in? This is wild. There's a bunch of shame on you. I don't know who they're talking about. So this shot here, we've got the Liberals on this side, Conservatives on this side.
Colleagues, in light of the disruption that we had, we are going to take a 2-minute break to allow things to calm down, and then we will come back for the questions and answers.
Why? Why the 2-minute break? Okay, they're back.
So let's recap. A company that had never before received contracts from the federal government started getting an avalanche of contracts just 3 weeks after this prime minister took office. The company, in fact, got $250 million for IT, even though it admits it doesn't do IT. It has 4 employees and has a headquarters in the basement of a cottage. Can the prime minister explain why this suspicious company started getting these contracts exactly 21 days after he took office?
The Right Honourable Prime
Corruption,
Minister.
man.
It's obviously an unacceptable situation, which is why the relevant authorities are fully investigating exactly what went on here, particularly highlighted by the Auditor General's recent report. This is an issue we need to continue to understand and make sure that the rules are being followed, make sure that our procurement practices across government are respectful of taxpayer money.
The Honourable Leader of the
You're that good
Opposition.
job.
More proof the prime minister is not worth the cost or the corruption. After 8 years of doubling housing costs, quadrupling the carbon tax, sending 2 million people to food banks, he somehow found $250 million for this one company, which boasts on its website that it is now Ottawa's fastest growing company. No doubt about that when they're having their faces stuffed with tax dollars by this prime minister. Why is it that when Canadians are starving in food bank lines, the Prime Minister finds $250 million for his friends?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Obviously, the relevant authorities need to follow up on this and get to the bottom of exactly how this unacceptable situation happened. In the meantime, on this side of the House, we're going to continue to focus on making life more affordable for Canadians. For example, attracting thousands of healthcare workers by increasing by 50% student loan forgiveness for rural doctors and nurses, by fast-tracking the construction of more than 51,000 homes, by finalizing the housing accelerator agreements with over 60 small and rural communities. While the Conservative Party continues to block these initiatives, we're going to continue to step up for Canadians.
It's just so uninspired on the Liberal bench. It's just like they're all just there like, just give me another paycheck. Just push it out one more day. They all know they're on their out. Their political careers are going to be done, and they won't be able to cash in those big paychecks anymore. They'll get their pension and go off into the sunset. This has been a whirlwind, though, having the WTF and then the Palestine people breaking in the back door or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they probably went in the top there where the public can watch.
So we learned that the ArriveCan scandal goes even deeper. The Liberals gave $250 million to GC Strategies. Well, let's talk about what that $60 million for ArriveCan could have bought. 125 affordable homes. 800 nurses hired. Instead, this Prime Minister spent this money on an app that doesn't work and no one uses. How does the Prime Minister look Canadians in the eyes with all this waste?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, during the pandemic, Canadians' lives were at risk, and we, quite rightly as a government, reached out to all the possible tools to keep Canadians safe. And indeed, the pandemic was less deadly and less harmful to our economy in Canada than it was in most, if not all, of our peer countries. But at the same time, even as we were innovating and trying to do everything we could to keep Canadians safe, the rules needed to be followed. It is obvious that in this case, the rules don't look like they were followed, and that's why there are investigations ongoing that need to get to the bottom.
He talks about innovating, like starting up a biotech company that produced no this word that starts with this letter. If you're if you're a boxer and you're throwing punches and there's the punch jab, that kind of, you get what I'm saying. A biotech company produced nothing. cost millions of dollars. That's I guess innovation to Justin Trudeau.
An investigation is being done. We're going to find out who's responsible, and there will be consequences for those who broke the law. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The leader's question. The question was, how can the Prime Minister waste millions of dollars on Arrive scam when Canadians can't afford to eat, heat, or house themselves? The answer is because the NDP keeps that Prime Minister in power. And votes consistently in committee to cover up the scandal and shut down investigations. This app was supposed to cost 80 grand, said the Prime Minister. Now it's at least 60 million, but we don't know for sure because of missing documents. What is the full and final cost of Arrive scam?
The Right Honourable Prime
Trudeau's
Minister.
done.
Mr. Speaker, I've addressed these questions, but I will highlight that part of the Conservatives' attacks on this situation is because they deeply deplore all the measures we put in to keep Canadians safe during the pandemic. We remember how they gave in to conspiracy theories, spreading anti-vaxxer conspiracies, standing against measures that we needed to put forward to keep Canadians safe. Yes, as we did all those things, we made sure that rules were followed, and any rules that weren't followed, there are consequences and there are investigations ongoing. We will continue to keep Canadian safety at the forefront.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What was the full and final cost of the app?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, that is among the questions that there are direct follow-ups, investigations ongoing right now, both internal and external, to ensure that as rules were evidently broken, there are consequences. There is an accountability for this. We need to move forward in a way that takes better responsibility for the kinds of challenges that we saw in this situation.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Did you hear that? There was a guy, I think, on the Conservative side that said, "Brilliant answer."
How much?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, during the pandemic, we were there to invest to protect Canadians and keep their lives safe. Despite the objections and the conspiracy theorism of the Conservative Party, we stepped up in many, many different ways. But even as we did, we expected and we continue to expect that rules around procurement be followed by the public service. It is obvious that that was not the case here. That is why there are ongoing investigations, there will be consequences, and there will be changes made to the public services systems.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Okay, so he's going to go through the same sort of thing in French. That is funny. Just stands there. It's like, how much? Pierre is smart. I like it. It's cheeky. It's funny.
And we expected even during that terrible crisis that the rules would be followed. And obviously they appear not to have been followed. So that's why there's an investigation to shed full light on the situation.
Combien?
How much?
Did it French?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. As I said, Mr. Speaker, there are investigations underway to find out who is responsible,
Pierre, man.
what rules were broken, and what the consequences should be for those involved.
Very entertaining, I'll say that.
How much Arrive scam cost?
He doesn't know how much his own app costs. He has the power to call for any document he wants from the government. So either he's covering it up, he's incompetent, or worse. Which is it?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there are ongoing investigations, both internal and external, that are following up on exactly how this unacceptable situation happened. We received the Auditor General's report last week. We are following up, and we have been following up on this for months already, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to make sure that anyone who broke the rules faces consequences, that systems and structures surrounding the public service and procurement are changed. This is something we are taking very seriously, as we must.
No, you're not. You don't care.
Well, the crazy carbon tax minister has done it again. This time, he's saying that the federal government is not going to support any new road construction. I quote, "Our government has made the decision to stop investing in new road infrastructure." End quote. So he believes that people in Yukon or rural Alberta or rural Newfoundland will have to get to work riding a bicycle. Mr. Speaker, why should those people have to pay taxes for infrastructure when they can't possibly use the tramways and the bicycles that he's funding?
If you didn't watch my previous video, I was the first to break this, I think, on YouTube. I was up late last night and that news came out and it's just like absolutely unbelievable. Basically, the big garden gnome, Steve Guilbeault, said the government won't be spending any more money on road infrastructure. If you want more details, go watch that video. It's unbelievable.
So a couple of months ago, the chair had made it clear to all members that we should be using certain adjectives in regards to particular members of parliament, to individual members of parliament. So like the word crazy is not a word that we should be using in this. And that's one of the things which I had been given direction to members. So I'm going to ask members, please, from now on, to exercise, to work within the boundaries of parliamentary language.
Guess you can't say crazy.
The Minister has already clarified his remarks. Our government's approach to investing in trade corridors and roads that Canadians rely on has not changed since 2015. We will continue to step up, and we got projects like the Samuel de Champlain Bridge in Montreal across the finish line, and we're going to get others like the Gordie Howe Bridge built. We're going to continue to invest in infrastructures. But what also hasn't changed is the Conservative Party's opposition to investments in roads, in communities, in bridges, in ports right across the country as we grow the economy, because all the Conservative leader is offering is cuts, cuts, cuts.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, first, this radical minister is bringing in a 61 cent a litre carbon tax on people who are committing the crime of driving to work or operating their farms. Then he wants to ban people from using vehicles that are necessary in our climate. And now he says he's going to ban all federal funding for future roads. Our government has made the decision to stop investing in new road infrastructure. Will the Prime Minister condemn these crazy comments?
Yes, please, please.
Once again, the Minister has clarified his remarks. Our approach to infrastructure continues to be one of investing in the future for Canadians.
Why isn't the garden gnome speaking? He's right there. He like, is this guy too squirrely of a little pathetic man to stand up and defend himself and his words? That's his job. He should stand up and defend it.
Through the National Trade Corridors Fund alone, we're building projects like a new bridge over the Yukon River in Dawson City, new interchanges on Highway 101 and 103 in Nova Scotia, and twinning the Trans-Canada Highway in parts of Newfoundland. We're also working within municipalities through the Community Building Fund. Just in Ontario, this means almost 2,900 projects for local roads and bridges.
Sexual and reproductive health touches all aspects of human health and well-being. It affects physical and mental health. It impacts social participation. It ensures healthy reproductive organs, family planning, pre- and postnatal care, delivery of healthy babies, and safe abortion. There's a push globally to limit access to the full range of sexual and reproductive health care. This week, 2 female MPs were stopped from raising this issue in Parliament. Since it is SRHR Week globally, can the Prime Minister reaffirm the government's position on this human rights issue?
I thank the member for Vancouver Centre for her tireless advocacy on women's issues. This week, I'm proud to reaffirm our government's...
I want to thank the member from Vancouver who's a Liberal who asked me a question so I can respond to her question. We're in the same party. Come on.
Unwavering commitment to defending Canadians' reproductive rights. The shameful behavior of Conservative MPs in shutting down women in this House leaves Canadians wondering what that party is so afraid of. I call on Conservative MPs to stand up for women's rights.
He's got to get one of those drama moments in there just to spice it up. The
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister can't defend his policy, so he's changing the name. People hate the carbon tax because 60% pay more into it than they get back in his phony rebates. So today he announced a costly rebranding of the hated carbon tax. My question for him is, how much did he spend on consultants in order to come up with the new name, and was it GC Strategies that he hired?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Oh, Pierre, man.
The Leader of the Opposition doesn't even understand the consequences of the cuts he's proposing left, right, and centre. He proposes to take away the carbon price rebate, the Canada carbon rebate from millions of Canadian families across the country. The Canada carbon rebate is going to be there to continue to deliver more money to 8 out of 10 Canadian families in 4 checks over the course of the year that puts cash in their pockets while we fight climate change. We're seeing reduction in emissions that Canada is leading on. We're also moving forward on growing the economy and supporting Canadians.
Couldn't even get the new name of the carbon tax right. It's only 3 words. The Prime Minister should learn that we can't improve life by slogans alone, Mr. Speaker. That's right. That's why we propose the facts. I have here a distributional analysis of the federal fuel charge by the Parliamentary Budget Officer, which shows that 60% of Canadians pay more in taxes than they get back in his phony rebates. Why won't he follow the facts and axe the tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
That was so good, man.
The opposition wants to talk about facts. The Canada carbon rebate will deliver $1,800 in Alberta to an average family of 4, $1,200 in Manitoba, $1,120 in Ontario for your family of 4, $1,500 in Saskatchewan, $760 in New Brunswick, $824 in Nova Scotia, $80 in PEI, and $1,192 in Newfoundland and Labrador to a family of 4. 8 out of 10 families across the country get more money out of the Canada carbon rebate.
Canada carbon rebate. Come on, man. Stop wasting our money on stupid stuff. You can go back maybe a month and a half. I did the math on it. It's about $7,500 on average. The average person spends extra because of this buffoon. So even if you get your $1,000 back or whatever it is, you're still in the whole $6,500. It's not. This is just dumb nonsense. They keep trying to tell people it's some sort of big benefit. It's not. It's not a benefit. It's not doing nothing for the environment. If he's up here talking about, hey, Mr. Speaker, we planted 13 million trees with those carbon tax dollars, and which is reducing, emissions by blah 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 blah. Like, you would have something to stand on. They literally have done nothing. There's absolutely nothing. Their whole plan here is to get us to snowshoe to work. Pull out the cross-country skis, everyone. I had a guy in my last video. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Cross-country ski to work with a bunch of welding equipment on my back? This government. It's just, you have to laugh at it because it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
8 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost of housing, which has doubled as he builds bureaucracies that block homes. In January, according to data out today, rent was up 10% year over year to $2,196. An astonishing increase in a very short time. In fact, it's up about 20% in the last 2 years alone, and it's accelerating ever since he named his incompetent housing minister. Will the Prime Minister follow our common sense plan to cut the bureaucracy and build the homes?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians know that cuts from the Conservative leader wouldn't get more homes built. If he was really concerned about rents, he would line behind us and support the removal of the GST on new apartment constructions. That's something they actually voted against, Mr. Speaker. We know that unlocking greater supply of housing, including with purpose-built apartment buildings across the country, is a way of bringing down rents for people. That's a concrete solution that we've put forward that the Conservative chose to vote against for political gain and for political reasons. We're going to continue to be there to do the hard work of delivering for Canadians while he relies on catchy slogans and misunderstanding what it is that he's choosing to cut.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
We were the ones that proposed taking the tax off home building, Mr. Speaker. The one good idea that he finally copied, but he talks about slogans. One is the Housing Accelerator Fund, the $4 billion program that was supposed to speed up housing. We asked the housing minister yesterday in committee how many homes it had completed. The answer is zero, nada, nothing. His quote, "It doesn't actually lead to the construction of specific homes." Mr. Speaker, if it cost $4 billion to build 0 homes, how much would it cost to build 1?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Once again, we have the clear proof that the Leader of the Opposition doesn't even understand the proposals that he's counting on cutting, that he's promising to cut from Canadians. The Housing Accelerator Fund.
Can we just take a second here? Look at this. What is going on here? Are we seeing this? Is he possessed by the devil? Like, what is going on, Gilbo? Is he trying to, like, use his laser vision on Pierre Poilievre? Why? Why is this guy so weird?
Is about investing in municipalities across the country to change the frame around which they build homes faster. It involves rapidly eliminating red tape. It involves increasing densification. This is the approach that we're taking, and it's working, Mr. Speaker.
35 photo ops, 1 minister, 0 homes. He not only says the program doesn't build homes, he says it doesn't lead to the construction of homes. He couldn't point to one development that had actually been completed. They've been in power for 8 years and they can't get anything built. When will they get the bureaucracy out of and the taxes out of the way so that we can build the homes?
The only tool that the leader of the Conservative Party has put forward is cutting programs in order to somehow create more homes. What we're actually doing is investing in partnership with municipalities to eliminate red tape, to accelerate the construction of homes, to increase densification.
To decriminalize crack, heroin, and other hard drugs, and allowed for drug injection sites in Richmond. Courageous and patriotic Canadians of Chinese origin rose up to speak out and protect their kids, and were treated to racial slurs by NDP radical activists telling them to go back where they came from. Will the Prime Minister reject this liberal racism and ban hard drugs so we can stop the crime?
Mr. Speaker, the impact of the toxic drug and overdose crisis on our communities is absolutely devastating. We're using every tool at our disposal to work with partners to end this national public health crisis. Unlike the opposition, we're following an evidence-based approach while working in partnership with stakeholders, experts, and people with lived and living experience. We take the safety of all Canadians seriously. That's why from the beginning we've approached this from both a public health and public safety perspective, hand in hand with the BC government in this case.
It's a canned answer. He's got his paper there to read. I can't talk about it on here, but in BC they legalized fennel, that wonderful herb fennel. You put it in your tea, nice fennel. Yeah, they legalized something that sounds like fennel for kids to use. Like, why? The government here in BC is absolutely run by nut jobs. Absolute nut jobs.
He wouldn't condemn the racial slurs, but he did issue a vicious condemnation of his own record. Let me quote what he said about life in Canada after 8 years of his prime ministership, and I quote, "Yeah, grocery bills suck. Rent sucks. Mortgage renegotiations. Oh my God, how are we going to deal with it?" Mr. Speaker, this is life after 8 years. What is his slogan going to be in the next election? Vote for me and life will still suck?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Pierre's just destroying him.
The Right
Just
Honourable
destroying
Prime
him.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, did he just say, vote for me and life will suck? I think that's what he just said. The reality is we have put forward smart, responsible solutions to fight climate change and grow the economy, to lift over 500,000 kids out of poverty, to invest in the kind of economy of the future, the good careers, whether it's in zero-emission vehicles, whether it's in mining or forestry, whether it's in advanced manufacturing. We're continue to bring more women into the workforce with initiatives like childcare. We're moving forward on dental care, which the Conservatives voted against for seniors and young people. We're going to be there to invest in a better future for Canadians.
Actually spoke the truth, maybe by accident, by saying that after 8 years, life sucks for the very middle class and those working hard to join it, to whom he promised so much. He taxed their grocery bills with a quadrupling carbon tax. He doubled housing costs after promising to lower them. He's unleashed a crime wave across the country. Now that he admits that life sucks under his leadership, why won't he accept our common sense plan to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime?
It's pretty hard to argue with like how the party solidarity, like it feels like a winning team. You can't, like these liberals, look at them, they're all just looking like, oh, how many more days of this do we have, before we get out of here?
Canadians understand that these are complicated times and that governments need to step up with real solutions. Responsible leadership is about recognizing the challenges people are facing and putting forward solutions to fix them, whether it's a housing accelerator that's getting 500,000 homes built.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are worried about the climate crisis, and we know that coal is the dirtiest source of electricity, producing more emissions than any other fossil fuel. The Liberals promised to ban thermal coal exports, but under the Liberals, exports have more than tripled. Will the Prime Minister end thermal coal exports?
Hear, hear.
It's a good argument. I mean, like, where's Stephen Guilbeault? Is he going to stand up and talk about that? Mr. Climate Change? Mr. We should be snowshoeing and cross-country skiing to work? Like, it's so dumb.
Phasing out coal from the electricity sector is the single most important climate action any country can take. We're committed to ending thermal coal exports by 2030, along with an...
Yeah, just enough of Trudeau. He's just the same. He reads from his paper. He started getting that tiger claw going there today. He's just powering up. That's where we're going to end this one. That was quite the House of Commons session. We got started off with a WTF moment. Then you got the protesters, and Pierre just started spanking him. Just owned him over and over and over. Trudeau's got nothing. The government's so corrupt. There's so much corruption. And he tries to throw back his points. He tries to debate, and it's just a pathetic attempt by Trudeau. It does feel a little bit different with this ArriveCan scandal. It is just blowing up to be so big, and somehow I think maybe, a couple people get arrested. Mindone, Cameron McDonald, all these guys, Utano. Likely those two guys at the CBSA were in on it with Christian Firth based on a couple of those, those quotes that were there. It's like, oh, take care of Christian Firth, all this kind of stuff. Christian Firth was taking a contract for every, say, $1 million or $10 million, say, Christian Firth took for a contract. He likely pushed that work out to another company who did it for half that, and then he cut in those other guys at the CBSA for like a small percentage, 10% each, which still ends up being hundreds of thousands each, and then he pockets with his buddy, his co-owner there, a couple million. It's the whole thing's corrupt. Hopefully it gets opened up. Liberal Party is crumbling again, day after day. Want to get some stickers, hats, shirts, any of that good stuff? I have that link down below. Also, follow me on Twitter. I'm on there. I'm getting quite active on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe. Turn on the post notifications so you get the notification when my videos come out. Stay warm, stay fed. I'll see you guys in the next one.